This is the Upgrade Yourself podcast, where you'll learn actionable steps to enhance all areas of your life and design a life that you love. Here are your hosts, Chris and Diana Bryant. Welcome to episode 2 of Upgrade Yourself. Today's episode is how to have a winning mindset. I'm Chris.
And I'm Diana. And we are so excited to bring this topic to you guys because truly anything you do in life requires a winning mindset.
Yeah, it starts with that. I mean, you can be the most physically capable person in the world and you're like, I'm going to get into the Olympics. But if you don't have that mindset that you're going to do it and you are going to get there, you're going to be standing up there with a gold medal, it's not going to happen. It really starts with mindset.
Right. And it's important to know and understand that the bigger you dream, the bigger that achievement you're going to be able to get. So if you're thinking small and you're thinking that you're not going to be able to achieve certain things in life, then that's exactly what you're going to get. But if you're dreaming big and you know that you can do it, you know that you can make it, then everything will work out for good for you to be able to do it just because you know that you can do it. So, and that's something we have experienced with Chris in our life, like where we have, in previous years declared and knowing and believing that we can achieve certain things. And today we have seen the results. We have seen that every single thing that we have believed we can achieve and we can do it, we have been able to make it.
Yeah, that's where like visioning boards come in, but that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other video series, podcast episode. But jumping into the meat here, we've got 6 steps to take in order to develop that winning mindset. And number 1 is know that you can do it. And that's the key word, like know that you can do it. Henry Ford had a great quote. It was, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right.
Yeah, that is true. It's whatever you're telling yourself, whether it's positive or negative, that's the results. And I love believing that, and it's so true because you see it on a day-to-day, that what people are telling to themselves, whatever is happening in their mind, that's what they're going to see in front of them. That's what is going to manifest. So that's why it's so important that you, and that's a key word, know. Understand, know in your mind that you can do whatever it is you're telling yourself you're going to do.
Yeah, see it happening before it happens. If you have a mountain in front of you, whether it's figurative or literal, if you look at that thing and go, there's no way I can do that, let me tell you, you're not going to do it. Mm-hmm. You have to tell yourself, I'm going to tackle this thing, I'm going to rock it.
Absolutely.
And you will.
Yeah. And we have, as I said before, we have seen it with Chris, where we have set up big goals for the year. We love setting up goals at the end of the year and preparing for the next fresh year. And sometimes we set up such big goals that we're like, but we said, you know what? If we work hard at it, if we really believe that we can do it, we can do it. And then we have seen, in some cases, achieving those goals within months. So it's like we know that if you know in your head, once again, that you can do it, you can definitely do it. And also understanding that you are your biggest cheerleader. I love saying that because nobody is going to motivate you to achieve your goals more than yourself. So if you have that positive mindset, if you have that, I can do it, and you motivate yourself every single day to achieve it, you're definitely going to get there.
Yeah, and there's a saying, I know you've heard it a million times, but I'm going to say it once more very slowly so you get it. You can do anything you set your mind to. I'm going to repeat it because you have to tell yourself that. If you want, pause the podcast and repeat this to yourself after I'm saying it to you. And I'm telling you directly into your ears, you can do anything that you set your mind to. And setting your mind to it is really knowing you can do it and having that winning mindset. So if there's a dream that you have, no matter how big or audacious it is, if you really go at it with everything you have, starting mentally, you're going to get there and you're going to shock yourself and those around you when you do it.
If we see it from a psychological perspective, what happens in your brain when you tell yourself that you can do something, you have to understand that everything starts with your brain. If you're telling your brain, I can do it, your entire brain is going to tell the rest of your body that you can do it. And you're going to prepare physically to get to that point, whatever that goal is, whether it is as simple as getting up every morning at a certain time and exercising. If you tell your brain, I can do it, if you start repeating it every single day, you're going to end up doing it because your body has already predispositioned to get it done. So, it's a powerful thing. So absolutely, this point is so important and critical in order to have a winning mindset, and is to know that you can do it.
Yeah, if you pull up like a YouTube video, or if you're watching the Olympics, when you're watching the runners at the starting line, they're going to do a sprint, let's say. Watch these videos and look at their facial expressions and the concentration they have at the starting line while they're waiting for that flare or the gun to go off. You know there's not a single person in that line that's saying, this is tough, I don't know if I can do it. You know everyone in that line is saying, you got this, let's go. I mean, you made it this far, now we just have the last 400 yards or whatever it is. Yep. So it's really all about that mindset.
Absolutely. And that brings us to the next point, which is to be intentional and determined. And I think it goes online with what Chris was just saying, that you have to have that determination. You have to have that mentality of, I'm going to do it no matter what. You have to be determined, and you have to be intentional about every single decision you're making, about every single thought. There is one thing that, for example, right now that we're going through this quarantine and things like that, and whether you listen to that podcast now or in a couple of years, I think that's something we're always going to remember this time we're going through. But even through this time, it's so important to make intentional decisions, to tell yourself, I can control this, I can do this. We cannot control what's going on out there, but we can control what's going on inside of us. We can control our attitudes. So this is definitely an important point to keep in mind, and is to be intentional and determined on every single decision you're making and what you're telling yourself every day.
Yeah, being intentional, just to kind of drive home that concept. I'm going to throw another movie quote out there. I'm a filmmaker, so you're going to hear movie quotes. But there's something in the Matrix trilogy, and they had said something a couple times, and it really resonated at the moment I saw it, and I think about this every once in a while. They said, move with a purpose, or move like you have a purpose. Mm-hmm. So literally everything that you do, move with the intention of reaching those goals. Right. I mean, even if it's like relaxing. I mean, if you're going to relax, go all in and relax.
Right.
So that way when you're done relaxing, you can go 110% in the direction you need to go. Yep. So be intentional in everything that you do, and be very determined to get there. Don't waver.
Yep, absolutely. And in the past episode, we were talking about how to design our life. And speaking of that, because it goes like hand by hand, right? Like you design your life, but now you have to have that winning mindset, that you're going to be able to do it, that you're going to be able to implement those changes in your life. And a couple of years ago, I would say like 5 years ago with Chris, we made a decision because we noticed that our 9-to-5 jobs were not giving us the lifestyle that we wanted to have, right? So we were both evaluating our values. We were both evaluating our lives, noticing that we weren't really happy because we weren't fulfilling a purpose, as Chris was saying a few minutes ago. So we decided to start seeking that purpose and to leave our 9-to-5. But for that, we needed to be very determined, and every single decision we made needed to be intentional.
Yeah, to that point though too, we were already doing things on the side. Like I had a video production company going back to 2005, so this was 2015. So yeah, actually about 2 weeks ago was our 5-year anniversary going full time. But I had a video production company on the side as a side business for a decade up to that point. But at that 5 years ago, we made a decision to go full time with it. So
and it was a risky decision at the time because we were paying a mortgage. We have certain things, certain responsibilities that it was a big risk, but it was what we call a measured risk. Like we know how much we were going to risk. And at the same time, we knew that if we didn't do it, if we didn't have that winning mindset and have that determination to do it, we wouldn't still be at that 9-to-5 job. So that's why we decided to do that. And we also decided not to have a plan B.
Yes.
Which
if you know that there's no backup parachute, you're going to make sure that first parachute is
you
in
will
good
make
shape
it work.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you before, guys, once you tell your mind that you can do it, no matter what the cost is, then you're not going to have a plan B because you know you're going to make it happen. When you're having a plan B, it's like telling yourself, just in case I don't get there. And that wasn't an option for us. We said, we're just going to make it happen. And it's like, it's almost like what is bigger in your life, right? Like having a miserable life or living an life, or being happy and doing what you absolutely love. And that motivates you to actually make decisions that go align with that. And having an intentional and determined mindset will help you get there.
Like, it sounds irresponsible, but at the same time, it's that motivation, that fire under you to make sure whatever you're doing is going to work.
Absolutely. And I think this is going to be another topic, definitely for another podcast, and is to talk about fear, right? Because one of the things that come up a lot when we're trying to intentionally make a change in our life, the first thing that rises is fear, and the what about, what if, right? And one of the things that we did with Chris is a simple exercise that you can do, and we will talk about it in more detail later in a future podcast, but is think about what is the worst case scenario. What is the worst thing that can happen if you make that decision? And that's what we did with Chris. And we said, well, these are the worst case scenarios, and this is what we will do for each of these case scenarios. And then the fear just went away because there was nothing else that can go against what we wanted to do. And that helped us have that determination and that initiative to take those steps to get us to the place we wanted to go.
Yeah, and fear is an absolutely real thing, which brings us to the next point, which is stay positive. And that's not just telling yourself, put a smile on my face and feel better. It's also distancing yourself from things that are negative, whether that's social media accounts or people that you follow or friends, or, distance yourself from family. If certain people are naysayers and telling you can't do it, you can't do it, you still love them, you still see them at Thanksgiving, but you distance yourself, or you just don't pay the mind, don't ask that person for advice anymore. But surround yourself with people who are positive, and that is going to rub off on you. And again, there's that saying, you are the culmination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Make sure those people, whether in person or digital, are the right people. Mm-hmm. Are they feeding you positivity?
Exactly.
So if it's all negative that you're getting, people I know that there's a right and a wrong way to use Twitter. People who use Twitter, for example, and they're like, man, everybody's so negative. They're just mean to each other. It's just nasty. I'm like, you're using it wrong. You're following the wrong people. Mm-hmm. The people that always bring you down are just maybe not attacking you, but just spreading just negativity, and they're always vibing kind of negative. Unfollow these people.
Yeah.
And start following accounts. There's some of them that literally they're called good news. Like it's like the Huffington Post good news. Mm-hmm. And all they post is like good news. And sometimes that's as simple as, some cat videos, or like a horse is a friend with a monkey and it's a cute video. That helps more than like, some kind of a piece on war or something like that.
Absolutely, because that helps you stay positive and have the right mindset. Remember, we're talking about having a winning mindset. And every single time you surround yourself with negativity, whether our news or anything, and I told Chris, since he met me pretty much, I made the decision to stop watching news. And I'm not saying this is the right thing to do it, guys, but it works for me. He is the deliverer of the news. He keeps me up to date with what's going on, but I don't watch news, and I haven't watched news in like 20 years, guys. And because I thrive by positivity. So I absolutely love surrounding myself with news that are positive, or people that are influential, but they are positive. They're always bringing a positive message. So I stay away from anything that is negative, and that helps me have a winning mindset, because every single time people come to me, all they see from me is being positive and positive messages and things like that, because that's all I know for now, So make sure you're always evaluating who you're spending the most time with, and whether, as Chris said, digital or in person, and what kind of influence they're bringing into your life.
And that's a good segue to the next point.
Absolutely. That takes us to seek inspiration. That's the following point. And it is, in this point, what I will say is always find people that been there, done that, right? Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you want to accomplish in your life. Let's say you want to become healthier and do more exercises, stay fit, right? Live a fit life. Then find accounts of people that are fit, right? That gives you advice on what to eat, on how to exercise. if you start seeking that type of inspiration, you're going to start getting into a right mindset, because these people are injecting in you every single day, or every time they speak, they post something, that positivity, that you can do it mindset, because they have done it. So if you seek inspiration on those areas that you want to transform, it's guaranteed that you're going to get there, because they're going to show you how to get there.
Yeah, and don't, like, for example, on the health thing, if you follow someone who's like a bodybuilder and you are like massively out of shape, but you want to get yourself into shape, if you're seeing someone who is at the absolute apex of being healthy, don't get discouraged. Use that as a point to get to, because even if you only get halfway there, wow, you're going to be in great shape. If you're halfway to where this dude is super chiseled or she's like in great shape, if you only get to half as good as they are in the next year or two, that's head and shoulders above where you are now. There's a really kind of girly saying, but it fits here. Shoot for the moon. Even if you don't get there, you're still among the stars. Mm-hmm. That's something that is would be on a wall of some teenage girls, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's true. And this applies to any area of your life, right? If you want to start your own business or anything that you want to achieve, you are able to do it. And if you seek inspiration, if you seek people that have done it, then it's going to motivate you to get there. The more you see it, the more you surround yourself with those kind of things, the more you're going to be able to see that if it was possible for them, it will be possible to you.
Actually, one thing, it popped in my head here, and I'd love to encourage you guys to do this. When you're finished with this podcast episode, go on to your favorite social media of choice, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and find 3 people who motivates you. It doesn't even have to be people. I mean, on Instagram, there's some great motivational accounts, and they'll post like some beautiful photo with some motivational quote on there. I say a lot of quotes, so I do subscribe to 1 or 2 of those. So that's why you're hearing a lot of different quotes. And that's true. That's one more source. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be a brand. It could be a news source like Huffington Post Good News.
Right.
Or it could be just an account that pushes out motivational quotes. And always tap on their account and scroll through their past things and see, that's the kind of motivation I want, hit follow.
Right. And in my case, for example, and what I do every single day to keep myself inspired and motivated is I start my day. As I mentioned before, I'm very spiritual, right? So I start my day spending time with God and reading and remembering His promises for my life. So that helps me right away be inspired and be in the right mindset for the rest of the day, knowing that I can do it all and understanding, right? All these kind of things. I also start the day, and this is something we do together with Chris, thinking about at least 3 things that we're grateful for. Because especially during this time that we're going through this quarantine and things like that, it's important to stay positive and to have a positive mindset. There is so much bad news out there and things that try to pull us down, that by us thinking of, wow, there are at least 3 things we can be grateful for every single day. And I guarantee if you think hard, you're going to find more than 3 things that you can be grateful for. It helps you stay in a positive mindset. So be intentional about this. Be intentional about seeking what works for you, whether it is meditation, whether it is exercising or reading what Chris says, positive inspirational quotes, or, spending time with God. Whatever it is that works for you, just do it. And that will help you be in the right mindset.
Step 5 is educate yourself. This is so important. We are huge fans of that. I think you are too if you're listening to this podcast or watching this YouTube video. Always be learning. That is something I feel is so, so important. It's not just critical in your career, whether you have a 9 to 5, you're working in retail. Always be learning something, especially if you're self-employed and you are your boss. Always be learning different aspects of business. Just as a person, learn more about health, learn about superfoods, learn about different exercises you can do for cardio. Or, hey, I've got high blood pressure. Let me research what the root cause of that is. Always be learning. Never let a day go by without learning something new. In your hand, that is a culmination of all of the knowledge mankind has ever obtained. It is in the palm of your hand. So please don't squander that. Use it. We live in an amazing time where that's possible.
Absolutely. Now, it is, in order to have that winning mindset, it is important to understand and know how to get there, right? So And you can apply this in any single area of your life. If you want to learn to be more fit, if you want to start your own business, you can learn how to do it. As Chris was saying, there are tons of knowledge out there that people are sharing nowadays that can teach you step by step how to get to those places. So the more you learn about in a specific topic, the more you're going to feel comfortable making those decisions because you know in an educated way how to get there, and that's going to help you have that winning mindset. So always it's good to invest in ourselves. That's something that we do with Chris. We always separate time to grow, to learn, to improve ourselves in every single area because there is always room for improvement, and that helps us get to that next level we want to get to.
Really, you can learn to do anything. I mean, in my house, I have done everything from replacing a window, which, I mean, not by replacing, I mean, I've replaced windows, but I mean, literally cut a hole in the side of the house and added a window where there was no window previously. Now, if you're not handy, yes, it's possible. If you are handy and you haven't done this before, it is trickier than you think. There's a lot to it, and I didn't know how to do that before. Between reading articles and asking people and watching YouTube videos, I learned how to do this to the point where I had confidence enough to grab a reciprocating saw and slice a hole in the side of my house and install this thing. And I've done all kinds. I mean, I'm not a carpenter by trade. I'm like a weekend warrior, do-it-yourself kind of person. You know, you learn by reading, you learn by listening, you learn by watching, and you learn by doing.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no excuse not to educate yourself in anything that you want to do.
Absolutely. And that leads us to our last point today, which is another way to educate yourself, and is to find mentors. Make sure you find somebody, as I said before, that been there, done that. And there is different ways that you can find mentors. It can be in person or it can be digitally. It can be somebody that you admire, somebody that has already gotten to that place that you want to get to. And by just watching those people, listening to them, even right now, we can be your mentors in life, right? We're teaching you different aspects, different areas, different ways to do things. And anybody who is shining a light in your life on how to do things is truly a mentor. So that's another way to educate yourself. And mentors are one of the biggest things and the best things that you can do for yourself when it comes to personal growth and development, no matter what area of your life. That can be through books, that can be through videos, and as I said before, in person. So definitely find mentors that can invest in you.
If there are people in your industry or in a field that you want to learn more about that you look up to, that you'd love to talk to them, you'd be surprised if you reach out to them directly. They might say, hey, okay, yeah, let's jump on a call real quick. I mean, be careful, be very strategic on how you do this. But I have been very, very fortunate in the business world to reach out and have in-person sit-down meetings with two people in particular that really helped shape the future of Empire Studios, of my video production company, and how I look at being self-employed and an entrepreneur. So you can have those in-person things, have digital mentors, and going back to surrounding yourself with positivity and people who know what they're doing. Follow these people and see what they're doing. You be inspired by them and motivated by them as well. So this is super, super important.
Absolutely. And that helps you by you spending time with these people and learning their path that they took will help you stay in the right mindset and having a winning mindset, because you will start not just learning how to get there as well, although every single path from any human being is completely different, right? Yeah. Everybody do it in a different way, and everybody has to follow their own instinct. But at the same time, you just knowing that somebody was able to do it, knowing that that person was able to overcome anything that life throw at them, you will have that winning mindset, thinking if they did it, I can do it too. And just that is super valuable to be able to achieve any goals in life. But aside from that, they will be able to guide you in the right way, guide you into that successful path that will lead you to have a transformed life.
Yeah, one thing I love too is biographies and autobiographies of famous people or people that inspire me or I look up to. I read a biography on, of course, Steven Spielberg. And, when he was like a teenager, when he was a child, he told his dad, I want to be a director. And his father said to him, well, you have to, work your way up. You got to go up in the industry and then eventually be a director. And he goes, no, Dad, I always want to be a director. And you know what? Steven Spielberg has never been anything but a director.
Talking about a winning mindset, right?
Yeah.
There is something to notice here on what just Chris was telling us. And it's that he had to eventually, at some point, take a step number one, right? It starts with one step. If you take one step, a small step at a time, little by little, you're going to be able to gaining more confidence on whatever it is that you're doing and eventually getting to that point that you want to get. So I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, I think he followed all these steps. So we're going to go over the actionable steps now. And keep in mind that Spielberg, I'm sure, did every single one of these. And I guarantee anybody that you look up to, no matter your industry, the field, what your goal is, people that inspire you have done these things. Mm-hmm. So here's your homework. Number 1, know that you can do it.
Number 2 is be intentional and determined. Don't let anything stop you from achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve.
Number 3 is stay positive. Surround yourself with positive influences and get rid of the negative.
Number 4 is seek inspiration. Always make sure you are surrounded by people that inspire you or find things that can really motivate you to get to the next level.
And 5, educate yourself. Always be learning. Never go to bed without learning at least one new thing.
And the last one is find mentors. Make sure you surround yourself with people that have been there, done that.
If you found value at all in this episode, it would be amazing if you could rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever it is that you listen to this podcast. We're actually going to start, in a few episodes, start reading some of these ratings that we're getting on air here. So you might be featured. But yeah, let us know if you have a question or a topic that you have for a future podcast at podcast@studio12academy.com.
And don't forget to subscribe and also share it with other people that you know will be interested in growing. I'm pretty sure family, friends, and people that surround you are also in that mindset of wanting to transform their lives. So make sure you share this with them.
All right. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week. Bye.